Hi, I'm Robin Swanick, and I'm the Associate State Director for Community Outreach with AARP Nebraska. And for the month of July, we're going to bring you in a local expert who's going to share with us some of the diet trends that are the most popular today. Now, we're going to be hosting this 5-part series on diets from our Facebook page on AARP Nebraska. You can catch us live on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Central, or you can tune in anytime to our Facebook page to watch this recorded segment. Today's segment is going to be on intermittent fasting. Now, the information we're going to provide you on diet trends are for the purpose of educating you on what the diets entail. When starting any diet, it's going to be best that you do your own research and you talk to your doctor first. So if you're watching this segment live, please post a comment or a question, and our speaker will be able to answer them during the presentation or afterwards in the comment section. Now, if you've enjoyed today's session, we're going to ask that you please like this post or share it on your page to let others know what you have learned. So now let's meet our local expert. Jenny Denovan is here, and she is our UNL graduate and registered dietitian for 20 years, where she now serves as a dietitian for the Hy-Vee grocery store. Jenny, thank you for joining us again and to share your wisdom and knowledge with us about these current popular diet trends. We're going to let you take it away to explain the intermittent diet, and when afterwards, we're going to ask you to explain some of the answers for questions that we receive from our audience. So Jenny, welcome.
Thank you again to AARP for having me. I will be here every Wednesday with AARP at 11 o'clock Central to just kind of have a fun discussion about current diet trends. So this week, our topic is on intermittent fasting. And I always like to dig a little deeper to find out why this is even on everyone's radar. So you guys may have heard the term fasting. It's pretty common in a lot of the world's major religions that they followers enter into some kind of fasting. And I don't know if you guys have yourself fasted at home for any religious reasons, but I know I have done it for spiritual reasons. And when you remove that food factor, because we're such a food obsessed culture, when you remove that focus on food, it just kind of is freeing, all right? So this detail is a little bit more in depth in that, but that kind of lays the groundwork. And then in 2012, so currently, why is it on everyone's radar now? Well, in 2012, there was a documentary called Eat Fast, Live Longer. And so that kind of started getting in everyone's mind. And then in 2016, there was a follow-up book by a Dr. Fung. He's a traditional medicine doctor. And so his was called Obesity Code. So how could intermittent fasting really help with weight loss was the primary focus of that book. All right, so I'm going to switch to a slide. So just give me a minute while I click over. There's a little bit of a delay, I think, on your guys' end. But the slide that I'm going to share was actually an article that we had published in our June Hy-Vee Seasons magazine on intermittent fasting. So I think it really explains everything that you maybe want to know or learn about intermittent fasting. So I'm going to use this as my guiding principle. But if you want to read the full article for yourselves, you could just go to Hy-Vee.com and search June Seasons, and then it'll be in there. So again, what is the intermittent fasting diet? So it's this idea that you're going to abstain from food or drinks with calories in it for a certain amount of time. So there's short-term studies that show that intermittent fasting can help improve glucose control, lower blood pressure, and help improve cholesterol numbers, all right? So those are all kind of biomarkers that you become interested in as you get older, right? And then also for weight loss. But the key that I want to bring out to you guys is that it was short-term studies. So nothing long-term. So can you really stay on this diet long-term? Some people do, but is that feasible? Is that reasonable? I don't know. That's really up to you. Okay, so how does it work? Well, one thing about this diet is that it really fits into your lifestyle and your schedule. So you're going to pick what's called an eating window or a feeding window, and you're going to eat your calories between that window of eating. And then the rest of the time, you're going to abstain. And we'll talk about more what that timing looks like in a few minutes. This isn't a calorie counting program. It's more of the focus is of when do you eat. I guess some things that you need to consider are during that feeding window, you still have to pay attention about what's going in to your body. So it's not this free for all where you can eat junk food and pizza. You're really still focusing on colorful fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and dairy. All right. And you want to still eat, you don't want to go hog wild on eating calories. You still want to eat like a calorie controlled diet. But other things to consider are, will you have the willpower to only eat between your feeding window? So one of my pitfalls, I have little kids still at home. And so I always get into that pitfall of bite, lick, chew, right? So, oh, a little bite here, a little lick here when I'm cooking or in the kitchen or making food for my family. So I'm not sure that I would have the willpower to only eat in that feeding window. So again, do you have the discipline? Can you do it long term? Will it always fit into your lifestyle? Those are just questions that you have to tease out with yourself. Are there any health risks? Yeah, so just like Robin said at the beginning, I would always consult with your healthcare practitioner about before you start on any diet, and also do your research. I really like a website called PubMed, which is a database for research studies. And you could just type in intermittent fasting and see the results if, for, again, that glucose control, lowering blood pressure, weight loss. But a lot of the articles were only done in rats or mice and not a lot of human studies. And the ones that are available for human studies are just short term. So we don't know if you do have weight loss with intermittent fasting, will you be able to sustain that? Or if you have improved cholesterol numbers, will that be sustainable? Also, this diet isn't for everyone. So if you are a diabetic, especially on insulin or other medications, I would not advise this diet. If you're breastfeeding or pregnant or have a history of disordered eating, or if you're an athlete, all right? So you're not just going out and doing some 30-minute of a casual walk, but you're really like training for a marathon, or you go run 2, 3, 5 miles a day. I'm not sure that this diet is the most appropriate. I do get questions about, well, what about beverages? Can I drink while on this diet? Yeah, you can drink. I would definitely push the water on this diet. Also calorie-free tea, and coffee is calorie-free too. And you can drink anytime, even outside of your feeding window, as long as it's calorie-free. So let's talk about that feeding window. And again, this diet really fits to your lifestyle. So one of the ways that people start on this diet is doing a 12-12 feeding window, all right? So you're gonna, let's say, only eat from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. is when you're gonna get your calories in, and the rest of those 12 hours, you're gonna abstain. Now, there is some evidence that shows that the shorter that feeding window, that's where you have more of those health benefits. So if you're doing that 12-12, then maybe you do that for week 1. And then week 2, you would switch it to like 11-13. Okay, so then you're only eating for those 11 hours. And then the next week, you just gradually until you shrink that feeding window. There's other popular ones. It's really tailored to how you live your life. Another popular one is the 5-2 fast. So that means for 5 days of the week, you're going to eat, that calorie control diet, maybe 1,500, 1,800 calories. But 2 days, you're going to restrict calories down to only about 500 to 600 calories a day. All right. But remember, on those other 5 days, it's not a free-for-all. You're still going to focus on healthy foods. All right, what other questions? Let's see if we have any questions that popped up. And remember, you guys can drop me a question and I can answer it. And it doesn't even have to be about this diet. It can be about maybe what we talked about last week was the keto diet, or hey, you could even share with me in the comments if you've had success on the intermittent fasting diet, what you liked about it. Or you can ask me any nutrition question too. I can field anything right now in this time that I have with you guys. Yeah, so this diet is pretty black and white, right? It's either you're eating or you're not. And when you're eating, you're trying to focus on healthy foods. Not like, in the upcoming weeks, we'll be talking about other foods, and there's definitely food groups that are excluded in those diets. So that is one of the reasons why I maybe like the intermittent fasting principle a little bit more, because it doesn't exclude food groups. And then I would always say too, I think this diet can also help you look at your behaviors around why you're eating. So it kind of gets into that psychological reasons of weight loss. That's a huge component of weight loss. Other diets don't even consider, but intermittent fasting, like I said at the beginning, it really lets you pause on putting food in your mouth, and you can evaluate, hey, am I eating because I'm truly hungry? Paying attention to your hunger cues. All right, let's see if we have any questions. Let me switch over to our moderator and see if she got any questions on her end.
All right, Jenny. So I do have a question. We have talked about the fasting that is the 16-8 method, where you have 16 hours off and 8 hours where you can eat. Is it different for women than men, or is it suggested that both men and women follow the 16-8 method?
Yeah, so 16-8 is just one of the time frames that's suggested. Again, this diet can really focus on your lifestyle and how you live your life. And again, the 16-8 compared to the 12-12 has a shorter feeding window. And some of the preliminary research shows that there's more or improved health outcomes with that shrinking that feeding window from 12 to 8. But yeah, this diet is not based on gender. So again, it's really how you live your life.
This does seem to be one of the easier diets, as there's not a lot of planning or cooking prep. It's just truly taking that absence from food and only eating during those specific times. So I found that kind of intriguing myself. During the fasting times, again, what are the types of liquids that you can drink? And is it only a small amount of liquids, or can it be as much as you want?
Yeah, it can be as much as you want. I would always focus on water first, but if you need to change it up, you could do, a tea without any calories, so like sugar, or coffee's fine too, without any, creamers or sugars in it. And what's interesting too about this diet is that if you do have the willpower, it really kind of it gives you a time period for when you have to stop eating for the day, because I work with a lot of clients and customers who, after dinner, they're going to the fridge, they're opening it up, they're looking in the pantry, and they're doing a lot of mindless eating. So that kind of stops that mindless eating pattern, just eating because you're bored or you're looking for something to do, right?
So is it healthy or safe to skip breakfast?
Yeah. So that's what this, so this diet kind of goes against anything that we've ever been told before, that you need to eat breakfast to kind of stop the fast, the overnight fast. And you will stop that fast when you start eating within your feeding window. But again, during the fasting time, that's where the health benefits come from, like improved glucose control, for example. So, so behind the scenes, I guess, in that fasting time is where the health benefits are coming from.
So again, if I fasted 14 hours and then I'm ready to start eating again at 9 or 10 in the morning, do I still try to fit in breakfast and get the 3 meals, or is the idea that I'm really just cutting it down to 2 meals during my fasting time?
Yeah, so it's however you want to eat. That's your time to eat. So if you want to cluster, like if you want to eat like a whole pizza at 9 o'clock, then go for it. And then you turn off, because that's all your calories that you need for the day in that pizza. Then you have to turn it off, right? Or you can like snack throughout the day, or you can have like 2 or 3 bigger meals throughout the day. It's more about the starting and the stopping time.
Okay. So what would you say are some of the main health benefits of intermittent fasting?
Right. So in the short term, because that's all the data that we really have on the short term benefits are there is some weight loss, improved glucose control, improved blood pressure, and improved cholesterol numbers. And I don't wonder too, I didn't research this, but I haven't really seen any health outcomes on psychological benefits, but I would imagine that they would be out there. So maybe after this, I'll just go out to PubMed, but that would be an interesting look too, to see the psychological benefits of intermittent fasting.
Perfect. So you've indicated that you have done the intermittent fasting.
No, I just have fasted for spiritual reasons.
I see.
Yeah. I don't know if I have the willpower to, I get in the habit of mindless eating, right? Because I have kids. That is my huge pitfall. So I do the bite, lick, chew thing a lot at home. But
if I were to start the intermittent fasting diet, how long do you think it would take before I would see some results?
Oh, I would think within 7 to 14 days that you could see results. It's interesting to me, though. Sometimes that's why, if you're interested in this, I would work with a registered dietitian, because some people already seem to do intermittent fasting, right? They go ahead and skip breakfast. So the first meal they're having is lunch, and then they have dinner, and then they don't eat any other meals, but they're not losing weight. So why is that? Because that's intermittent fasting. So that's where a dietitian can work with you and, really ask you questions about your eating behavior, what foods are you eating, and kind of tease it out that way.
Great. All right. Well, I must thank you for the information that you've provided. It's opened up a whole new thought pattern for me of another diet type that's out there that doesn't involve a lot of the cooking and watching what you're eating, but instead taking that break from food and adjusting yourself that way. So again, Jenny, I want to thank you. We do look forward to having you next week, where the diet you're going to discuss with us will be the plant-based food diet. And for the other weeks coming up, July 22nd will be Mediterranean, and then we'll finish out the month of July talking about the paleo diet. So if any of our viewers want to jump in on any of those dates, they'll know in advance what the information will be. But again, Jenny, thank you for joining us. This information was very interesting and beneficial. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.